Hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today we're not doing one, not two, not three, but 4 bots by way of this, the Buzzworthy Bumblebee Troop Builder Pack. And this includes, of course, I'm going to read it from the back here now, the Animated Universe Autotrooper, the G2 Universe Cybertronian Trooper, a Quintesson Trooper, which is very much an Allicon, as well as a Decepticon Seeker, who doesn't have a name, but might kind of roundabout have a name. All 4. We're not going to do the transformations because we already know these transformations and they've been covered extensively here on the channel. But we will certainly talk about them with a few comparisons along the way in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. Helps me out a ton, let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring. And of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And I did not think I was going to get this pack. Ideally, it'd be great to have 2 of these at least. I know some people bought 3 and 4, but like when you have something that's troop builders, obviously they're meant for A, troop building, but B, it's always nice to have 2 of them. That said, I am very grateful to have even 1 set of this because they were not super abundant around here, especially since they're an exclusive to, in Canada, Toys R Us. I guess Target in the States is what Buzzworthy was exclusive to. We only have, in my province, 1 Toys R Us, and these only appeared there twice. This, I only have thanks to good friend of the channel, Maximal10, and I am ever so grateful, crazy grateful as a matter of fact. So, yeah, like I said, we're not going to actually do the transformations, but I do certainly have some thoughts about these guys. Let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this set. And yes, indeed, today we're looking at 4 bots. It's the Troop Builder Buzzworthy Bumblebee Pack. And we're not going to really show the transformations here for the sake of expediency, and because these are all molds that we have reviewed, seen, covered before. So this should be hopefully fairly quickly accomplished. We will see. But we do have a Decepticon Seeker, who we're going to actually kind of give a name to. A Quintesson Trooper, we'll talk about in comparison to a couple of Allicon type of molds. We have the G2 Cybertronian Trooper, and of course we have the Animated Autobot Trooper. So it's a nice 4-pack. We have all 4 on the front in some artwork. On the top we have like pictures of all of their heads, I guess. Nothing really on the bottom. On this side, Bumblebee, and on this side, your typical Buzzworthy Bumblebee like artwork. And of course we have the pack back here. Cannot thank Maximal10 enough for this set. I was really looking forward to it. And because we only have 1 Toys R Us in our province, I missed out. So I'm really thankful that he was able to score this for me. Of course, in the pack we have a whole silly gigantos sheet of 2-sided instructions. But again, we know these molds. And we're going to kick things off with the Decepticon Seeker first. And here he is next to Thundercracker. Thundercracker, by the way, holding the Centurion Pack reflector down here. A custom paint job I did on that. But, as you can see, he is not the same shade of blue as Thundercracker. Now, some people will get this guy and use him as Thundercracker. That's fine, I get it. But he's more of an indigo blue. Instead of this, you know, sky blue, I suppose. They're definitely different. That said, this indigo-ish type of blue was seen with a number of indiscriminate seekers, especially in Season 1. However, I have seen the name Dead Ear attached to this guy, so we're going to call him Dead Ear. I'm not sure if Dead Ear is a fan name or an official name. I've seen it in a few different places. I don't know where it originated. If it came from a fan, well then shout out to whoever originated it. If it's an official name that's been applied like retroactively, to the character, well then cool. But I can say that for the Indigo-esque Seeker body type, or Seeker body color, I suppose, like this is very, very accurate. Starting from the toes and working up, I mean the silver on the top of the foot's accurate, the black shin, the silver just under the knee is accurate, the wings on the side not accurate for any Seeker. The silver on the hip skirt and the chest with the blue in between the two on the tummy, yes, that's accurate. The orange canopy section, that's accurate. The wings, especially with the white and the red line, all accurate. So yeah, this is dead air. I'm going to have to give the look a 9, maybe even a 9.5. I mean, the wings on the side of the leg, that's wrong. I've said it before about this mold. It's not accurate at all. They should have folded into to the leg like New Age. In terms of articulation, we have a little bit of a range of motion that we lose here compared to the Siege. We still have a head that goes left, right, up and down. The wings here can get out of the way. The arms can go all the way around if you want them to, all the way out to the side. Elbow to 90 degrees. We do have a bicep swivel. Nothing at the wrist, that's a bummer. Nothing at the waist, that's a bummer. Pick up the front skirt, and that'll give you your kick forward. Not all the way, but I think probably good enough. Knee bend to 90 degrees. Can't really go back because of the sides there. The hips out to the side go that far. Not full splits, but hopefully it'll give you all you need. And the ankle tilt is what it is. It bends in and then you have a big wing sticking out the side. I said before that the articulation for this guy is like, I think the articulation for the Siege mold is a 10. It's perfect articulation. I think this is about a 9, you know? So we have a 9 and a 9. The transformation I think is also a 9. So overall, this is far from being a perfect Seeker, but it certainly is better than the classic Seekers. It certainly is more in scale, as it should be, and it certainly looks better. So overall, I'm going to give this guy a 9. And of course, we can see him in robot mode and in. And so here we have the plain mode. I really like it. I love this indigo blue style. And I'll say this, no mold degradation, no tolerance issues that I can detect. As a matter of fact, I think the shins on this guy, both in robot mode and this mode, tab in the best of any version of this mold that I have. I think it's to its credit, honestly. I'm going to say overall score here is a 9. What a strong start. I still like the Siege Seeker mold better, but man, this is pretty darn good. If you're going to have the Earthrise mold, this is a great one to have. And so up next we have the Animated Autotrooper, which is basically, by my understanding, kind of almost a nondescript Autobot, right? They're responsible for, like, you know, policing and safeguarding like Cybertron and whatnot, so it is what it is. Their body type in Animated, and they did appear a little bit in the actual, like, I guess, like, cartoon, and I think probably in some IDW stuff. But I do know that there was a BotCon souvenir set that used the Ironhide slash Ratchet Cybertronian mode body for this guy. So it's only fitting that we would use, again, the Ratchet Ironhide Decius drone body type to do a version of this guy. Now, obviously, being animated, it's going to be a little bit stylized here because obviously it's not the animated, like, aesthetic necessarily, so to speak. But Cybertronian mode Ratchet and Ironhide, Cybertronian mode, Ratchet, and Ironhide. This one rolls great. I love the paint here on the little, I don't know, missiles, I suppose, that we have in there. We have that same kind of paint up here on the arm sections. I like the deep translucent green. I like that the head has a flat back piece on it. By the way, there is a secondary head. We'll look at that closer in a moment. But he rolls fine. We know this mold. We've seen this mold. We've experienced this mold. I will say this, both of these tab in just very nicely here on the side. The bumper, it tabs in and untabs very smoothly. Any issues that I have heard of or seen with this mold do not seem to exist on this copy, which is very, very nice. Again, we don't need to do the transformation. We looked at it before, and I thought the transformation was excellent. I think I gave it like a 9 and 9.5, something like that, when I looked at Ironhide. So we're going to actually go from this guy looking like this to two head designs. I bet you thought I was going to say robot. We'll get to that in a second. So the one with the blue visor is the animated head design. The one with the red visor is actually based on the Autotrooper as depicted in, of all things, KISS players. Eesh, let's forget about that. I also want to talk about this for a second because it's worth noting. You don't take the whole thing off the ball joint. You kind of pull the front of the face off on like sort of a rail system, so to speak. And there's a little peg down there that pegs into the different faces. So you can put whichever one you prefer on without having to go popping ball joints. Just for fun, I put the KISS player's head on. Again, the transformation is like a 9 or whatever. The look of this guy, again, really we're basing it on the animated. And this is not bad. It's not exactly right, but it's not bad. Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So really we should have black around the toes and then white on the top of the foot. Going up the leg, this black line is actually accurate. It should be black on the shin. White thighs, white knees, the actual body itself. That's where things get a little weird. So this is the right shade, but it should only be down on a couple of headlights and maybe a couple of things on the shoulders, though we have it on the shoulders. Most of the main torso here should just be like a white hood and a little bit of a black detail. So this is a highly stylized chest, but I'm not angry about it. The animated Autotrooper head is pretty much perfect. On the side we should have black here, but they should come up a bit more spiky, but we do have a little edge there, so that's not bad. Black at the elbow, which we have. The hands should be white, though they are black here. He does have Ironhide's big Doom Blast Forge thing. This isn't bad. Like, I would probably recognize this as an Autotrooper anyway. I'm going to say that the look is about an 8. I'm going to say about an 8. The transformation about a 9. The articulation for the guy, I mean, head can go left and right and kind of look up and down a little bit. The arms go all the way around, out to the side, like way out to the side. Elbow to 90 degrees, bicep swivel, wrist rotation, waist, legs all the way forward, legs all the way back, legs full splits, deep ankle tilt, knee to 90 degrees if I didn't say that. I mean, everything I could want, 10. If the Seeker starting things off had an overall score of a 9, this guy's keeping it up with an overall score of a 9. Let's move on to number 3. And third up we have the G2 kind of Cybertronian Trooper. Again, these guys really sort of follow G-Axis, so I'm going to actually have this guy be like G-Axis's butler. It's a reuse of the Skullgrin mold, which I personally really like. It got a lot of flack, a lot of hate. I really don't know why. It's a Cybertronian tank. People are like, there's only treads back here. Okay, it's Cybertronian. Like, it's not going to look like an Earth tank. I don't expect it to. I don't want it to. That said, to get an Earth tank mode out of this, it was pretty heavily retooled to give us Quake. We'll kind of see Quake standing next to this guy in a moment. But in terms of being a Cybertronian tank, it's fine. People will say, it doesn't have little wheels on the bottom. So, a lot of times I don't find the little wheels do anything. A lot of times I find that because it's a tank, it scrapes. So it doesn't bother me, it might bother you. This looks really cool. I like this green and white deco on it. Again, much like with Skullgrin, this can move all the way around. I guess I could fold this up. It's the tail for Skullgrin, really. But like, it goes all the way around, you know? These things are still soft, rubbery plastic on the side. The sword blaster things, I mean, these are not great. I'll give you that. There's a secondary head here too. We'll see that in a moment. But like, this is your basic tank. I think it's fine for a Cybertronian tank. We're going to do the transformation going from this to once again, 2 heads. I bet you expected me to say robot again. This is basically the same head, except one is kind of wearing a battle helmet and the other isn't. And that's the way I sort of see it. If you look back at the G2 comics, when Jaxus is like leading these guys into battle, some of them have a green helmet on, some of them just have the skull head. Same as before. It's like that weird like rail system thing where you can slide a face on or slide the other one on. It's a bit hard to get them off and get them on, but like, they both look good. Now, finally we have the robot. And here you can see him next to Quake, and I really like Quake. He didn't make top 10 or anything, but he's fun, and it's a great adaptation of this mold. Granted, there are certain improvements that could have been made, but for a deluxe class price point, Quake is everything a deluxe should be and more. You can disagree if you like, but the math doesn't lie. In terms of the math that these companies use to make product, Quake has the mass, has the paint, has the engineering, has the parts count. And then this guy, which shockingly is shorter because of the retooled legs on Quake, but still a bundle of fun. So we're going to take that out of it, and I'm just going to lay that over here. In terms of the transformation, I know it gets a lot of flack, but I don't know why. Like, we have a slider that the arms work on. We rarely get that anymore. The way the whole head goes into the body, like the chest comes down, the head folds in, very typical, but certainly workable. The genius is in the lower body, because you have to take the entire like hip section and fold it all the way back, then bring the hips or the thighs forward, and then in here you got to unfurl, unfold, and twist all of this so much. It's a ton of engineering for a deluxe. Love it. Transformation 10. In terms of looking like the Autotrooper, or sorry, the Cybertronian Trooper, again, I gotta give it a 10, really, by default. Granted, the colors might be tweaked because we know that the comic book colors were always a little hard to mimic. I do find the head is a little bit too big looking for the body, but to be fair, the head looked a bit big for the body in the comic book as well. So I kind of let it slide because of that. No, the other head does not look any less large on it. It's just slightly masked more because of the helmet. So a 10 and a 10, like this is great. Let's do the articulation. The head goes left, it goes right, it can look down, it can sort of wiggle up. The horns also can move. The arms go out to the side, you know, this far, full T-pose. All the way around. Elbow over 90 degrees, bicep swivel. I don't know if we have a wrist on this one. I don't think we have a wrist. If we do, then I'm missing it there. Waist all the way around. I guess if you want to pull this tail down, you could, but I don't know why you would. Leg all the way forward. Leg all the way back. The hip spikes on my Skullgrin, when I would go out to the side to do T-posing, or not T-posing, splits, the spikes got caught up on his body and I had to shave them down slightly. No such issue here. Pardon the cut, but this part of articulation went way to focus for this guy. It's just the knee bend and the ankle tilt, but it's certainly worth noting with clarity that they are there and function well. 90 degree at the knee and a nice deep ankle. Okay, back to regularly scheduled programming. For the articulation, a 10. I think this is a 10. This is a fantastic transformer. It's really good. G-Axis is going to have one heck of a butler if you ask me. So far we have a 9, a 9, and a 10. What a great set. And lastly, we have the Quintesson, I guess Trooper, I suppose. And this is the way he comes in package. First thing to note is you have to take the top of that head and bring it down there. You'll also note that there's a mushroom peg here because of this tail. This tail flips up and there's a little slot here for that mushroom peg. So we're going to put that on over right now as well. And that comes down over his back. And we have this, which is 2 parts, and it goes, it should go through his hand. I'm hoping it'll go through his hand. Maybe this is the piece that's supposed to go up through his hand, actually. Yeah, that's it. That goes up through his hand, because the axe part on the top is a soft rubbery plastic. There we go. Yeah, the axe part on the top is a soft rubber. Ah, why did you fall? There we go. It's a soft rubbery plastic, so there you go. We have our Decepticon Trooper, or our Quintesson Trooper. Now, this, like I said, is pretty much a reuse of this mold. The Bailiff that comes with the Centurion, not the Centurion pack, the Pit of Judgement pack. right? It's basically an Allicon amped up a little bit. And the head sculpt here matches his. I love this metallic blue around the neck and on the arms and on the crest of the head. And I think this is cool. So you could use him as like a second Bailiff if you want. Or if you don't have the Pit of Judgement, you missed that box set, you could always have this one as a Bailiff. Or you could have a few sets of these Troop Builder packs and have the Bailiff lead, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 of those, I suppose, if you wanted 10, though I don't think you should buy up 10 Troop Builder packs, but that's just me. It's a great mold, it's a great adaptation of the Allicon mold. That said, we can also take him out of it, and we can actually bring in, speaking of an Allicon, and the Allicons, the typical Allicons came with a spear, not the axe thing. You'll notice that turn his arm, the forearm does not have that blue on it, the neck does not have that blue on it, the spikes are different, the chest here is gray instead of green, the waist skirt here is a green instead of the gray, gunmetal gray down on the legs, a lighter gray down on the legs, and nothing between the toe claws here, a gray between the toe claws there. So there are certainly several differences between these two. It's also worth noting that he comes with an alternate head that's much like the head of an Allicon. You could put it on an Allicon if you wanted and make it like a Allicon General. The only difference really between the regular Allicon head and this one is that the purple above the mouth plate is like more of like a lavender. It's more of a washed out purple. And we do have the kind of metallic blue around the outline of his face. We'll see this head a little bit closer along with the other head in just a little bit. This one, unlike the others, however, would require you to pop the ball joint. So it's worth noting. But yeah, great head sculpt. Great use of the mold. This is it for kind of robot mode. So we're going to just lay that out of it for now. And let's just go through kind of the look of this guy. So we don't really have a look to compare to. I'm going to call it the 10 because it fits right in with the other Allicons and that whole aesthetic. Beyond that, I'm going to say that the transformation now already I'm going to say is about... It's about a 9. It's fine. It's pretty good. It's not the most creative thing in the world, but like it functions fine. Let's do the articulation. We have an arm that can go all the way around. In terms of going out to the side, that's where this guy gets limited because of the port on his shoulder. That's a bummer for out to the side movement, but I mean, what are you going to do, right? It is what it is. That's as far as you're going to get. We do have a waist on the guy. The hip skirt is one piece and comes up. The legs can go all the way forward. The legs can go way back. Thigh swivel. Knee to 90 degrees. We got a foot all the way forward. And we have a deep ankle tilt. Bicep swivel, if I didn't say it, elbow to 90 degrees, wrist rotation, the head can look up, down, left, and right as well. I mean, I don't know really what more you would want for articulation at this size class, at this price point. I'm going to say a 10 for the look, a 9 for the transformation. I'm going to say, honestly, a 10 for the articulation. He is as solid as a tack on his foot. We will see him in his alt mode. So we're going to go from him looking like this to two head sculpts once again. This one being very Bailiff-esque. The other one being very just typical Allicon-esque. Putting that one down, leaving that Allicon there. Here's the regular Allicon head up close, right? So obviously more paint on the 4-pack one, but like cool head sculpt. And yes, finally, here we have Allicon and Allicon. The knees on this one are bent a little bit more. No, he's not shorter or anything like that. It's just I didn't bend the knees as much on this one. In terms of deco differences, I mean, the top of the head here is gray with this whitey bluey and all purple. The top of this head is green with the whitey bluey and mostly gray except for a little purple right there. The entire side of the guy, very similar. Again, the added deco here, the change of the gray color here. Also, this belongs in his tail. I forgot to show it before. In terms of here on the front, I don't think there's much else deco difference-wise other than the shade of purple being different. And I think there's more paint on the teeth here. These look all painted inside the mouth and out. These are painted just on the outside of the mouth. If we go on this side, again, you got a pretty good look. And on the back, you will see that the tail is green on the regular release. It's gray on this one. And there are rectangular slots right there. Tabs. And there's a slot on the handle of the axe that goes over one of those tabs. So you can store that axe. Exact same articulation as the regular release. I mean, the mouth opens and closes. The arms move, you know, like this. They could be a bit better. The legs retain pretty much all of the same articulation that it did in robot mode. The transformation is what it is. I think this looks pretty good. I'm happy to add forces to my Quintessons. But in the end, this guy is going to still be about a 9, maybe even a 9.5 actually. It is a bundle of fun. So we've had a 9, a 9, a 10, and a 9.5, which means this whole set is an absolute win. It's fun, it's fantastic, great molds, and used well. It's one of those multi-packs where I would say, yeah, it's expensive, but you know what? If you could honestly see your way to probably getting 2, I think duos of all of these would be absolutely fantastic. A 9, a 9, a 10, and a 9.5. I'm going to say overall score for this set is about a 9.4. It is an excellent set. And here we are once again, and here is the box once again. I felt like that this was probably the easiest way to sort of deal with these. Let's start from the way they are on the back of the box. The very first one is the Seeker, the one that I believe is known as Dead Air. Though, I mean, that might be a fan name, as I mentioned. It's a fine enough use, I guess, of the Earthrise Seeker mold. You all know by now that I prefer the Siege Seeker mold, but if you're going to use the Earthrise Seeker mold, this is fine. Nothing wrong with it. You could certainly kind of put it with some of your more straggling Seekers. You know, your Red Wing, your Nacelle, for example. Yeah, I get it. Some of them are Cybertronian, some of them have Earth modes, but you could kind of put it there as a catch-all. I sort of believe that this guy is kind of probably part of the welcoming committee, but I mean, it's a generic Seeker, really. Could it stand in as Thundercracker? Yeah, if you needed it to. Is it the same blue hue as Thundercracker? No, it's not. Which is probably a good thing because it differentiates Thundercracker from this guy. There are times when Seekers of this particular blue hue were seen in the animation without a name. And, you know, again, Dead Air is as good as anything else. I don't know if it's the right one, but cool. Why not use that? I still think I have the same gripes as I have always had with the Earthrise mold. No waist, one single piece for the hip skirt, hollow forearm, or not forearms, biceps. You know, the body has some hollowness. I just, you know, to me it's not the superior mold. No wrist swivel. To me it's not the superior mold, but like, it's fine, especially for troop builders. Then we have the Quintesson Trooper, which is basically an Allicon. Kind of, honestly, it's the same mold really as the Bailiff that came with the Pit of Judgement set, but colored like the Allicons. And honestly, that kind of brilliant metallic-y bluish that's on it is beautiful. I guess I'm going to use this trooper as, honestly, my Allicon General, because it takes an excellent Allicon mold and kind of amps it up a little bit more. Plus, it's nice to have something else to sort of add to the Quintesson forces. You know, the miscolored, alternate colored, I should say, not miscolored, alternate colored Titans Return Sharkticon that came with the Pit of Judgement set? Well, I use that as like the head Sharkticon of my Sharkticons. I guess I use him as proper. I guess I'll use this guy as either a second Bailiff or the head of my Allicons proper. Then we come to the G2 Universe Cybertronian Trooper. My whole plan for this guy is to have him basically be a servant to G-Axis. It'd be nice for G-Axis to be flanked by 2 guards, but I think the way that I'm going to kind of position that is that the Legacy Dreadwing and the Legacy Skyquake are going to be like the, I guess, honor guard of G-Axis, so to speak. And this guy will sort of be like his butler. It uses the not popular Skullgrin mold. I love Skullgrin, and honestly, I thought the transformation was really interesting, especially the legs. I really like Quake, but I get it. People don't like it, so he's probably the least popular of the troop builders in this set. I like him. I do find the kind of all skull head to be a bit big for the body, but it's fine. It's not going to bother me any way, shape, or form. And then lastly, I think we have the strongest mold in here, which of course is the Animated Universe Autotrooper. Kind of not sure exactly how I'm going to fit the Autotrooper in. I'm probably just going to name him Trooper and go from there. Yes, I know they are somewhat generic, and yes, I know this is somewhat of a stylized body type for it, but I think it's cool, and I also think it's neat that you can change out the head. Ideally, it'd be nice to have 3 of these, probably 1 with the blue eyes and like 2 with the red eyes or something like that. But the Siege Ironhide mold is fantastic, still fantastic. Very smooth transformation for this guy. If I was to rank these in my order of what I think is the best to the worst in this set, I would say the Autotrooper is the Autotrooper is the best. I would say second to that is probably for me the Cybertronian Trooper, then probably the Quintesson Trooper, and finally the Seeker, because I don't, you know, to each their own. You're going to rank them different than I do. Do I think this is a set worth getting? Yeah, absolutely. You got a Voyager and 3 Deluxes. It's a solid set, and it's one that, for once, I certainly understand if you buy multiples of. I don't know. To me, it's not really a weak mold in the set. If the weakest is the Earthrise Seeker mold, then, like, that's still pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me know what you think about this set. What was your favorite? What was your least favorite from it? Did you skip it all together? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, that you right there, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way, right here inside the videos.